Well, I did it officially. I cursed the GRIZ. Congrats to South Dakota State. Montana had one of the best seasons in recent memory. One of the best seasons that I've ever seen as a fan and as a graduate from the University of Montana. They're the best seasons in a long, long time. So congrats to the GRIZ. Congrats to South Dakota State. Incredible season for both squads. We are going to officially exit our talks of FCS football for a little while and then get into other logos and conferences to talk about on this channel when it comes to college athletics and football and baseball and just sports in general. We got a lot of conferences and leagues to go over, but I did want to, just for fun, focus on the FCS conference logos themselves because we've been talking about the conferences of the FCS for like the last few months on this channel. The logos for these conferences kind of suck, to be honest. Let's just go ahead and get right into it. This is going to be a quick video today. We've got a total of 14 FCS conference logos to talk about. As always, we're going to start with the worst, go to the first, and the worst FCS conference logo without question at number 14 has got to be the Pioneer Football League. This is so lazy on so many levels. That outer stroke in white that you're seeing, I'm doing that for you guys. That's me adding this on as a favor to kind of make this logo stand out, because without it, take a look at this. This is just poop brown, one solid color, no outer glow, no drop shadow, no anything, no other colors going on except for this one poopy brown color to Pioneer Football League with a little tiny football over the I, or dotting the I for Pioneer. I mean, how lazy. This was designed like by an elementary school student, maybe. This awful. At number 13, not much better. This is the CAA, or the Colonial Athletic Conference, kind of trying to maybe take a page out of the ACC playbook. And the ACC logo is kind of whatever, but at least it has some motion and energy to it. This CAA, again, so boring, and ditto to the Pioneer Football League. I am adding this white outer glow for your convenience. This does not have any other color except for just this blue. It has no drop shadow or outer glow, and so it looks like this. It's hard to see, and so you're welcome for this white outer glow to make this stand out at least somewhat. At number 12, let's get into something a little bit more interesting. This is the Missouri Valley Football Conference. I kind of appreciate what it's going for. The actual text for Valley kind of forms this bowl valley for this football to sit in, and I do like that. But the Missouri Valley Football Conference text down below it is so tiny and scrunchy and hard to read. It's horrible. Way too much text overload. If this just said Valley with the football, it might be actually it would definitely be a lot cooler. Just like the Valley, right? And that way more intense and interesting. The football itself too is a little clip arty, like we saw with the Pioneer Football League, but it definitely is a whole lot better. It's a market improvement from the last two that we've seen. But we're still in the bad territory, which is also true at number 11. The MEAC conference that we just talked about a few weeks ago. We're starting to get in some better coloring, at least. Purple and yellow is a really nice kind of contrast. It's just interesting to look at, but again, we see like the little text, the micro text down there. It's too word heavy. It's too like, I can't stand that little text. It makes this logo so hard to see from a distance. But the big bold MEAC for MEAC, it tells us everything we need to know about what conference we're looking at. So we're starting to get into, we're getting a little better. We're picking up some pieces here. At number 10, we've got the United Athletic Conference. Definitely a lot more recent FCS conference, a lot newer, and we can kind of see like a modern look to this logo, which I'm about. I actually think this looks great, but again, just too much text on the bottom. Get rid of it. Don't care. That U is really strong, and it's like clearly the best part of this logo. Everything else, not really interested. That U for United though it's great. At number 9, we've got the Big South Conference. Again, I really like these colors as well, like we talked about with the MEAC, orange and blue, especially that kind of lighter shade of blue. Look awesome. And I do like the simplicity of it with just having big in the O for South, so it's not like getting too word heavy like we've seen in most of these logos so far, just way too much text. No, this is keeping it simple, and it's doing a good job of it. But there's just some more interesting logos ahead for the FCS conferences. This is kind of getting into some good stuff, but still a little bland, a little boring. There's some zestier ones ahead, including number 8, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, the SWAC. Love that big star in the front. That looks pretty good. And it also is pretty simple. We just see the big bold letters of the conference, and that's what I'm about. Like, just focus on just the conference itself, big bold letters, like have a little logo in there. In this case, it's a star, and you're set. You don't really need to overdo it with all the text and all kinds of fluff. This is doing a lot with a little, and it looks pretty nice. Especially really like the black and red have this kind of like bold, assertive color combination. And yeah, the SWAC, we're getting better. We're cooking. We're cooking. At number 7, right in the middle, we've got the Northeast Conference, the NEC. Back into that habit I don't like of just having too much text here with Northeast Conference and NEC. We don't really need to see that text of Northeast Conference. This would be bigger and bolder if it was just the NEC. But I do like this over what we just talked about with the Big South and the SWAC, which are doing a pretty good job. In that I really just like the triangle in the background is a really neat sort of thing for this NEC Northeast Conference kind of to be popping out sort of in front of, with that kind of stroke underneath just sort of gives it this like popping bold effect, like it's coming out at you. And I dig that, and I love these colors. This is probably like my favorite colors for the conferences, or for the logos that we're talking about for these conferences. I love that blue and black, looks awesome. So yeah, the NEC, this is great. At number 6, we've got a kind of modern update to the Southland Conference. They kind of cleaned it up a little bit in recent years, and they did a really good job. I really like this. Again, great colors here. That gold and black look fantastic. And I love that little star too after that big, bold SLC for Southland Conference. And what I really like about the SLC logo too here is that they just felt the need to include Southland. So instead of saying Southland Conference, it just says Southland, which is just stronger. Getting rid of the words like league and conference. Who cares? Just say what it is. This is the Southland. Like, that is just stronger. It's bolder. It's definitely more assertive, and it's got the colors and the text to match that assertiveness. I really like this rebrand. At number 5, we've got the Southern Conference. Like, okay, this is a beauty. We're getting into good stuff now. This is huge with the SoCon text. Like, this is the Southern Conference. It's big, it's bold, it's like the letters itself can't even be contained within the circle behind it. It's just want to pop out. Really aggressive, assertive looking logo. When you have a logo like that for your conference or your league, it really is kind of putting your foot down and saying like, hey, care about us, care about these teams. We mean business. And this logo has plenty of that emotional impact to it. Even with the Southern Conference text, Southern up top, Conference at the bottom, I'm okay with that because the text is actually contained within this one solid circular piece instead of floating around kind of wherever, like underneath a football or hiding behind the big bold acronym for your conference. But no, the SoCon logo has Southern and Conference all contained within this nice piece here. Yeah, this top 5 is actually kind of hard to rank and place. I do feel confident with what we've got with 1 through 4, but yeah, the SoCon, shout out. This is a beauty. At number 4, we're kind of stepping it down, keeping it classy with the Ivy League. Doesn't need to do too much. This league and conference holds a ton of prestige, not even just through their athletics, but obviously academically, these 8 schools in the Ivy League represent some of the greatest colleges and universities in the world. So to have something that's a little bit more subdued, simplified, does a lot of favors for these schools and this league as a whole. It's stately, it's stoic, it's a great representation, a perfect representation actually of these schools and these programs. Obviously, you got to have that green in there because this is the Ivy League, so we're talking about Ivy plants. And yeah, they hit every mark with this branding here. Perfect representation of these schools and the programs that it represents. And the same can be said about number 3, the Patriot League. A name like Patriot League should have some sort of like iconography, images of what it means to be named the Patriot League. And we can see clear as day here, this is just an American flag waving above just a nice stoic looking text and typography for Patriot League. It's simple, but it's very effective. It's doing what the Ivy League was doing as well, as far as like having a logo that just clearly represents the schools and the programs within it. It's just very simple, it's classy, it's understated, and it's excellent. But at number 2, let's kind of dial it up a notch with the Ohio Valley Conference, which I failed to mention too. The Ohio Valley and the Big South currently share this logo here, which is fine. It's got both the Big South and the OVC kind of contained within the shield. And the 2 logos I think are great, but the OVC has just an incredibly cool logo that looks awesome on all the uniforms that are represented within this league here. Because as we said with the SoCon, all of the pieces here in this logo are contained within one really nice elemental piece. This nice oval with OVC and this awesome typography, excellent colors, and a really nice little image too with the kind of like flaming torch over the V for OVC. There's so many pieces here that are all just working harmoniously together. Nothing is trying to outdo the other item as far as the pieces go. And all in all, this is an excellent logo, but it's not number 1. And this is going to be, I know the comments are going to say that my bias is showing. Montana Grizzlies represent, shout out to the Big Sky Conference at number 1. clearly the best FCS logo. It's kind of a fight for number 2 with some of these other logos that we talked about, even though there's some great ones. Really nothing can touch this beauty. When I hear Big Sky, obviously I think of Montana. That's where I'm from. But not even just that. I think of images of out west, states like Idaho, Oregon, California, Nevada, even Washington. I think of all those states and just kind of like the wide open skies and the exploration and just open road. And this logo absolutely gives us that. We have a text of Big Sky and just big, bold, gorgeous lettering over some mountains, which is kind of like the exact images that I conjure up when I think of back home in Montana. When I see this logo, I think of home, and it makes me happy. And there's not a single other conference logo in FCS that I can say that about. Like, this does exactly what it's intended to do, and it perfectly captures the schools and the programs contained within it. So yeah, by far the best logo in the FCS. And again, it's not even close. And y'all, that's going to do it. I hope you enjoyed. We are reaching a kind of pivoting point in this channel as far as new leagues and conferences to discuss and logos to explore. Very appreciative of everyone who's been clicking and tuning in and leaving comments. I've been getting a lot of just really great feedback on this channel, and I'm really proud of where it's going and happy to be spending time with you guys. Now that the college football playoffs are done, we can look forward to the NFL playoffs. Actually, by the time you're watching this video, I'll be traveling up to Dallas. I'm actually working the wild card game, Packers and Cowboys. So very excited for that, and maybe share that experience when I get back with you guys. And I'm just really excited to take part in it. So thank you for clicking. Thank you for hanging out. Appreciate you guys as always, and we will see you in the next video.